In an unexpected and deeply unsettling turn of events, Russia has sent shockwaves across the international stage by announcing the development of new chemical weapons. This revelation, coming at a time of heightened global tensions, has raised alarms among nations, security experts, and the broader international community. As we delve into the details of Russia's announcement, the implications for global security, the historical context of chemical weapons, and the urgent need for diplomatic responses become central themes in understanding this disconcerting development. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. The specter of chemical weapons harkens back to some of the darkest chapters in modern history, with the devastating use of such agents in World War I and subsequent conflicts. The Chemical Weapons Convention, CWC, signed in 1993, sought to ban the development, production, stockpiling, and use of chemical weapons, marking a significant international effort to eliminate these inhumane tools of warfare. The announcement by Russia, a signatory to the CWC, sends shockwaves through the established norms and agreements aimed at preventing the use and proliferation of chemical weapons. The global community, having experienced the horrors of chemical warfare in the past, is rightfully concerned about the potential consequences of a nation reintroducing such weapons into its military arsenal. Understanding Russia's motivations behind this startling announcement requires a nuanced examination of its strategic calculations, geopolitical considerations, and the broader context of its relationship with the United States and other global powers. The unveiling of new chemical weapons reflects a willingness on Russia's part to leverage unconventional means to assert its military capabilities and potentially reshape the balance of power. The timing of this announcement is particularly significant given the existing geopolitical tensions and rivalries between Russia and the United States. The global stage has been witness to a series of confrontations and strategic maneuverings, from Eastern Europe to the Middle East. Russia's declaration of new chemical weapons introduces a volatile element into an already complex geopolitical landscape, amplifying the uncertainties and challenges faced by the international community. The announcement of Russia's new chemical weapons has far-reaching implications for global security. It not only challenges established norms and treaties, but also raises concerns about the potential for a renewed arms race in unconventional weaponry. The global community, still haunted by the memories of past chemical weapons attacks, must grapple with the urgent need to address this unsettling development and prevent a dangerous escalation of military capabilities. One of the immediate concerns is the impact on regional and global stability. The possession and potential use of new chemical weapons by Russia introduce a volatile element into the calculus of conflict resolution, crisis management, and diplomatic efforts. The specter of chemical warfare, a violation of international law, creates a fraught atmosphere that demands swift and decisive action from the international community. Moreover, the announcement places a spotlight on the evolving nature of modern warfare. As nations seek to diversify their military capabilities, the reemergence of chemical weapons introduces a troubling dimension to the strategic landscape. The use of such weapons not only poses a direct threat to the security of nations, but also challenges the efficacy of existing international mechanisms designed to prevent the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. In the face of Russia's announcement, the role of diplomacy becomes paramount. The international community must respond with a unified and resolute stance, emphasizing the adherence to established norms and the commitment to global security. The diplomatic channels established through the United Nations and other international bodies become critical avenues for addressing this breach of trust and preventing further destabilization. The Chemical Weapons Convention, a cornerstone of international efforts to curb the use of chemical weapons, provides a framework for diplomatic engagement. Nations must come together to reaffirm their commitment to the principles outlined in the CWC and to collectively condemn any actions that violate its provisions. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, tasked with implementing the CWC, plays a central role in investigating and verifying compliance. The urgency of diplomatic efforts is underscored by the potential consequences of inaction. The international community cannot afford to be passive in the face of a breach of the Chemical Weapons Convention. Swift and decisive diplomatic responses are necessary to deter further developments in the chemical weapons domain and to convey a clear message that the use of such weapons will not be tolerated. As the international community grapples with Russia's announcement, the stakes are global, transcending individual nations and regions. The potential escalation resulting from the introduction of new chemical weapons demands a collective and coordinated response to safeguard global security. Escalation in the use of chemical weapons could trigger a dangerous domino effect, leading to a broader deterioration of international relations and heightened tensions. Nations must recognize the shared responsibility to prevent the further proliferation of these weapons and to uphold the principles of disarmament and non-proliferation. The potential fallout from the use of chemical weapons extends beyond military considerations to encompass humanitarian, environmental, and ethical dimensions. Chemical weapons, by their very nature, indiscriminately harm civilians and inflict long-lasting damage on ecosystems. The global community must unite in its condemnation of the use of such weapons, recognizing the profound humanitarian consequences and the need for collective action to prevent their deployment. The announcement of Russia's new chemical weapons inevitably raises questions about the credibility of international agreements and the effectiveness of existing arms control mechanisms. Addressing these concerns requires a concerted effort to reinforce the principles of disarmament, transparency, and trust building among nations. International inspections and verification mechanisms, as outlined in the Chemical Weapons Convention, become crucial tools for restoring confidence in the global commitment to prohibiting chemical weapons. Russia, as the announcing party, faces increased scrutiny and expectations for transparency in providing verifiable assurances regarding its adherence to international agreements. Building trust in the context of arms control and disarmament efforts requires open and honest dialogue among nations. The international community, through diplomatic channels and multilateral forums, must engage in constructive conversations aimed at de-escalating tensions, addressing security concerns, and finding common ground to strengthen global security. The humanitarian consequences of chemical weapons use are profound and enduring. The international community, driven by a commitment to protect civilian populations, must prioritize the humanitarian dimensions of this announcement. The use of chemical weapons, even in limited instances, poses a severe threat to civilian lives and well-being. The fallout from chemical weapons extends beyond immediate casualties to long-term health impacts, environmental degradation, and displacement of populations. Nations must acknowledge the ethical imperatives inherent in preventing the use of chemical weapons and work collaboratively to ensure the protection of civilians in the event of any potential conflict. Humanitarian organizations, non-governmental entities, and global health bodies play a critical role in addressing the aftermath of chemical weapons use. Preparedness, response capabilities, and international cooperation are essential components of a comprehensive strategy to mitigate the humanitarian consequences and provide assistance to affected populations. Ensuring legal accountability is a critical aspect of addressing Russia's announcement of new chemical weapons. The Chemical Weapons Convention, CWC, as the cornerstone of international efforts to ban chemical weapons, provides a legal framework for holding nations accountable for violations. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, tasked with implementing the CWC, has a crucial role in investigating and verifying compliance. The international community, through established legal channels and diplomatic mechanisms, must insist on Russia's adherence to its commitments under the CWC. Legal consequences for non-compliance should be clearly delineated, emphasizing the importance of upholding international law in preventing the re-emergence of chemical weapons on the global stage. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Russia's announcement of new chemical weapons? What do you anticipate will be the response from the US and the international community? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.